Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
See, JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Definitely not his, the barn burner that we've cast the entire rally thing was, but, we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep.
You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Hager kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Selena Vega on a pole match for that to be.
It is in the mail, my good sir. Oh, it wasn't. Paul.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely.
And then you can listen to us too. We're off to a rough start.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kurt.
And I'm Mongo.
And today we're discussing Holiday Hell 1995 from ECW. And this is the day after Christmas, so we certainly hope you all had a fantastic holiday season. And I think we're all looking forward to 2021 at this point.
I agree. Let's bring on 2021. Let's make it a better year for everyone else. And let's keep going and have some more fun with wrestling. Keep distracted from what we currently have with us.
So this show took place December 29th, 1995. So almost 25 years ago, which is hard to believe.
I know. Watching it, it seemed like it was in the 80s, but I'm like, no, this was 1995. It was crazy. Couldn't just be ECW, but
the show is noteworthy too because it's the first time they kind of ventured out of Philadelphia. It's the first time in New York. They're in New York, in Queens at the Lost Battalion Hall, which looks like just some basketball gym.
As I say, it reminds me of a community center, like when you go in there and they have like the pull-out bleachers and the basketball hoops on both sides.
Yep.
But I liked it because it was a very independent wrestling show feel, and I'm a big independent wrestling fan. And between even some of the camera cuts, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, where they weren't focused on the right parts of the match, and the small crowd, I think it was only 1,200 something they said at one of the announcers. But it was cool. It was very intimate, very ECW. ECW is that very niche market, I think.
Yeah, the crowd was amazing throughout this whole show. They made a lot of the matches. I mean, they were just totally into this card.
And I love the chants. I couldn't watch it with my son. I had to watch this by myself because some of the chants there and even some of the promos, I was like, wow, I forgot. This is really a mature rated show. So if you've lived under a rock and you don't know much about ECW, this is not something you should watch if you're under the age of 18.
No, it's crazy. So we actually start off the night with the appearance by Stevie Richards and Blue Meaning, and it won't be their last.
Unfortunately, it will not.
No. It's Stevie Richards. Yeah, he cuts a one hell of a promo on the crowd. We can't repeat what he said here. But
to summarize, he basically said the Rick Rude style promo, everyone came to see me and all the girls want to be with me, essentially to keep it PG.
Yeah. Yep. And then he's like, there's Missy Hyatt in the crowd and he wants to like kind of hook up with her. And then she's like, I can get you a date with Raven. And then Missy Hyatt just, plants one on Stevie Richards.
The old lip lock, as Jesse the Body would say.
Yep.
Goes out to the crowd. What a weird way to kind of have her appearance, is to be like in the crowd and to just start making out with Stevie Richards so he can get a shot with Raven, which I don't really get, but I guess there must have been some leading storylines up to it that we didn't see, because unfortunately ECW, you pretty much had to go to the shows to get the storylines. Your weekly TV deals were too sporadic, and I mean, I didn't really watch it as a kid, but just trying to do some research on the storylines beforehand, a lot of mixed information. So I think a lot of it was tape trading and going to the shows to really get the storyline, which, like I said earlier, like a very independent feel, but it was fun. I think the storylines built were fun. It was cool to go in there blind and kind of see what they were telling for a story.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's break it down. Let's start with the first match of the evening. It is Taz with Bill Alfonso getting a win over Koji Nakagawa by submission with the Taz mission in just about 2.5 minutes. This is pretty much just a squash match. It's kind of a little weird to start off the show with a squash match, I think. You usually want to get the crowd going a little bit more, but I mean, the crowd was behind every one of these matches, so I don't think it hurt the show.
I think that's what they capitalized. I agree with you. I think they knew that the crowd was hot. Like you said, it's the first time they ventured out of Philadelphia. They're in New York. Taz is from New York. A lot of the wrestlers there are from New York. So they already knew they're going to have a whole lot of hometown heels, a lot of hometown faces. And like you said, it was weird. It started out with a really awkward promo by Taz's corner man, which he has his own referee apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And he cut a really good promo, got some really good heat on Taz. And then when Koji just slapped him, I knew it was going to be a squash match because the look on the face of Taz said it all, that it was done in a kind of a scary spot when he did the Tazplex. He got dropped right on his head.
Right on his head. There was a couple of, I guess stiff would be the word, suplexes in that match.
And Taz definitely no-sold it, so you're right about the squash match. I mean, there was one point where he drop kicks him and Taz just kind of like stands there and looks at him like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an okay match. It was there.
It was there. Next up is Hack Myers getting a win over JT Smith by pinfall in about 4.5 minutes. Again, I think this is another match that's kind of there for me. I honestly don't remember a whole lot about this one.
It was just a dud. I mean, JT Smith unfortunately had a spot at the end where he went to kind of do the best moonsault ever, split leg moonsault, whatever you want to call it, leg. And he like dropped himself on his head, and that led to the finish. So don't know if it was intentional or if it was a quick rush home.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the whole feel of the match. You didn't really know what was going on. They were just kind of there, just kind of shoving each other around. I don't know. I tried looking up both these wrestlers. Didn't seem like they did much after this. So I think it was just people trying to make their name for themselves. And, you know, they were mid-carders on the mid-card.
Yeah, absolutely. Things started to pick up a little bit here, though. We have a singles match for the ECW World Television Championship and for the World Tag Team titles. You have Mikey Whipwreck and Too Cold Scorpio here. Too Cold Scorpio pretty much dominates this whole match. There's multiple times where he goes for the pin and just kind of lets Mikey up, where he could have got the 1, 2, 3, but chooses to go on. We see the finish comes with an interference from Cactus Jack. He hits the double arm DDT on Too Cold Scorpio, places Mikey Whipwreck on top of him for the 1, 2, 3, and Mikey Whipwreck becomes your television and world tag team titles, and Cactus Jack just kind of goes into business for himself and declares himself the other half of the tag team champions.
Yeah, that was a very good rundown because that match was very hard to follow watching.
Yeah.
So much was happening and there was so much story in the match. You know, like you said, he had put on his tag team titles on the line as well, including his partner, which apparently was Sandman, who's the current ECW champion at the time during this event. So that was interesting. And like you said, Cactus Jack just saying, yeah, I'm now the tag team champion. I didn't really know what was going on, but it was fun. Like you said, it was a lot better match than I thought it would be. I really like Mikey Whipwreck. I always kind of been a fan of him. I don't really think he got a fair shake in WCW or WWE, but I thought it was a fun match, and I thought it was funny that Too Cold Scorpio got some good heat at the beginning by calling himself Too Gold Scorpio.
Yep. Yeah, that was kind of cool. Next up, we have a tag team match. You have the Eliminators, which is John Cronus and Perry Saturn with Jason. They're going to get a win over the Pitbulls, Pitbull number 1 and Pitbull number 2 with Francine, about 16 minutes. I really liked this one. This was I thought it was a really solid tag team match. A lot of back and forth action going on here. I'm not too familiar with the Pitbulls' work before this, but they impressed me. I really liked this one.
I agree. This was probably the match that really picked it up and made me start enjoying the show. This was a great match. It was really weird to see Perry Saturn with a full head of hair.
Yes.
And again, like you, I didn't really know much about the Pitbulls, but they were solid workers in that ring. And these 4 had chemistry and it showed. And it was a great tag team match. This is kind of like what tag team wrestling is to me, is the chemistry, the working together, you know, not too spotty, but enough planned parts where it flows. And that's what I really liked it, because the match before this didn't really flow. This match flowed well. And I think this was a very well produced match, whether by the wrestlers calling it in the ring beforehand. It was really well done. Like you said, it was some good tag team wrestling, and I didn't even know 16 minutes because it didn't drag by. It went by quick. I thought it was actually kind of short, based on how good it was going.
Absolutely. Now the show kind of transitions into the Stevie Richards Blue Meanie show.
Great way to put it, because we're going to see him every segment.
Yeah, pretty much. So Tommy Dreamer, just to give you a little rundown here, Tommy Dreamer is supposed to take on Raven. Stevie Richards comes out and said Raven broke his leg, which is obviously a smaz. So Stevie Richards says that Tommy Dreamer will face the Blue Meanie, which he defeats in about 13 seconds with a DDT. And then all of a sudden, Tommy Dreamer hits a DDT on Stevie Richards, goes for a pinfall. So he beats him in about 11 seconds. But then Raven comes out, not with the broken leg. And then we have the match between Raven and Tommy.
Yeah, it's fine that they list these matches on the card, because it almost just felt like a long promo to get Raven out there.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the Raven match. Raven and Tommy Dreamer. This felt like an ECW match to me from what I had seen on highlights. When I heard these two really took into each other, it was a pretty gruesome match. Very well fought match, but man, I was cringing a lot during this one.
Yeah, especially like with the cheese grater spot. I mean, you just know. I mean, that can't feel good.
No.
No.
A lot of fan interaction in this one too. There was some spots where their fans are legitimately holding the steel chairs over the guardrails and they're just being slammed into them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We should mention the Raven Tommy Dreamer match was to determine the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship for later on tonight.
Which I thought was cool. So it meant something. One of these guys was essentially had to beat the crap out of each other to then go face the champion, who was probably going to beat the crap out of them because it's Sandman. And Sandman is definitely another one of those ECW crazies. This, I feel like, is kind of what gave birth to the CZWs of the world, like these kind of matches where they just go out there and they're just straight up death matches. They don't call them that in ECW, but these were just like straight up death matches.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Raven does get the win after the Raven effect to Tommy Dreamer by pinfall. And so we will see Raven and we'll see the Blue Meanie. We'll see. I think we see Stevie Richards again later on in the show.
I think we see Blue Meanie get squashed later on in the show too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Next up is Bruiser Mestino. You may know him as Mantar from WWF. And he's going to get a win over El Puerto Riqueño in about 3 minutes. Again, this match was just kind of there for me. I think it was a filler match. El Puerto Riqueño actually did get some offense in, but Bruiser Mestino just overpowers him and gets the win.
That's an understatement. Bruiser Mestino, which is hard to call him that. He's a big boy, so that was the definition of a squash match in every sense of the word. Then, like you said, he got some good shots in, but it's kind of like throwing pennies at a brick wall at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely a match where if you need to use the restroom, you need to grab any snacks or anything, this is probably the match to do it in because you're not going to miss much.
No. And next up, we have another appearance by the Blue Meanie. So we're up to about 74, if you're keeping track at home. This is it's Bubba Ray Dudley with Big Dick Dudley and Dances with Dudley and Sign Guy Dudley, all the Dudleys, just squashing the Blue Meanie in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Stevie Richards is here too and says if Bubba Ray can't beat the Blue Meanie, then he's going to get fired, or Stevie Richards is going to fire Bubba Ray Dudley. Total squash match. Bubba gets the win.
Yeah, I guess at this point, I don't understand why Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie were getting involved with the Dudleys. I thought maybe earlier when they came out during the Tommy Dreamer thing, maybe it made sense. Maybe they were working with Raven, but now with Bubba Ray Dudley, which didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
At least it was fun. Dudley family was fun. Really weird to see Bubba Ray Dudley in that gimmick, because just knowing him now with his Bully Ray gimmick and his even Bubba Ray Dudley from WWE gimmick, it's just weird how devolved this one was, I'll say. And I don't really remember much about the Dudley family, but I did recognize Sign Guy. He's Louis Dangerously, so I did recognize him, and I looked it up to confirm. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like you said, it was just kind of there. Another match that was just kind of like they squashed him. I think it was just to make the fans happy in attendance, because this kind of felt like a filmed house show, which was fine. But I think that's what it was. It was just let's send the fans happy. Let's beat up Blue Meanie again, I guess.
Yeah. Next up is the singles match for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. You have the Sandman with Woman, who was Nancy Benoit, Nancy Sullivan. He's going to get a win over Raven with Stevie Richards and Beulah McGillicuddy by pinfall in 13 minutes. Again, this kind of screams ECW to me. You know, you have Raven and the Sandman in here. They put on a really good show. You know, and Sandman gets the win and he retains his title.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Kind of surprised that Raven didn't get it, just because I felt like Raven had some good heat on him. But it made sense because they wanted to send the crowd home happy. Sandman was, you know, forcing the match, and they just, like you said, another ECW style match. They really took it to each other. They were just destroying each other. I mean, some of the shots of the kendo stick were so stiff, and you could even tell they were potatoing each other with some of those punches. There was one point where Raven's, you know, hammering down on his head, and you can see Sandman's head jolting to the side, and you know that they're just laying it into each other. And it was really cool to see Woman, like you said, Nancy Benoit, because I hadn't really seen much of her as a child besides WCW, so it was kind of cool to see her because she really was an integral part of the industry. And I thought it was really cool. You know, she did get involved a little bit, so it was fun. And I also think that, you know, hopefully this is the last we see of Steven Richards, because that was just too much for me in one night.
Yeah.
This match was probably my match of the night. This one and the tag team match, probably my two favorite matches we had on the card.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up is a tag team match. You have the Public Enemy. This was going to be like, they didn't know who their who their opponents were going to be. It's answered by the Gangstas, which is Mustafa and New Jack. This is just a tag team street fight. The Gangsters are going to get the win in about 8.5 minutes. I was really looking forward to this one because I don't think I've ever seen a New Jack match. And obviously New Jack is one of the more controversial figures in wrestling, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely say there's one spot here where he grabbed a fork and he's just gouging there. Ugh. Yeah, he's if anyone hasn't seen the Dark Side of the Ring on New Jack, I highly recommend it. He's definitely a notorious figure in the industry.
Yes.
This was a very brutal match. And that's, I guess, with every New Jack match. And Public Enemy, you know, they were pretty stiff too. So this is a very ECW match, very gritty, very dark. And I was kind of surprised that the Gangsters answered the call, because I thought at this point they were still kind of down south. But again, 1995, I'm not really sure the timelines. Public Enemy, I thought was really good. I remember they had a good run in WCW for a while too, and then came to WB and just got destroyed by the APA. Yeah. And then we never saw them again. And then New Jack, I don't know. I didn't know much about them as the Gangsters. I only knew them as a singles and from the Dark Side of the Ring, but that was brutal. And he definitely lived up to his reputation in that documentary. Some of the shots he was taking them, some of the weapons they were using, and they were just destroyed. It was bloody. There was a lot of color in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've covered Public Enemy several times on the show, mostly in their WCW run, and I've always been entertained by their matches. They've always put on a good match. I mean, there was one with the Nasty Boys, which I think was like a dog collar street fight that we covered, which was really good. So I've always enjoyed the Public Enemy matches that we've, you know, gone over. Yeah,
I like Public Enemy. I was actually kind of pulling for them because I'm not really the biggest New Jack fan, just based on his reputation and disregard for his opponents in the ring, I guess we would say. Because I always feel like wrestlers work together when you're working together. To sound cliche, you know, you got to have each other's back. And if you're going into business for yourself and you're just being violent for the sake of violent, I just feel like that shows in the matches. And you could see at some points Public Enemy was a little uneasy to kind of get near him. It looked like they kind of stood around Mustafa a little bit more. So I'm not sure if maybe they were just saving themselves for the inevitable ass kicking they were going to take from New Jack later, or what it was. But I really like Public Enemy. I was always kind of sad they never got their run WWF after the APA incident, but I really enjoyed them WCW. I agree. I remember the tag team match with the dog collar was a great match.
Yeah. All right, we have made it to our main event. It is Taboo and Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack comes out before the match, cuts a promo, says this match is going to be issued under NCAA Olympic rules. He brings out a referee, Pee Wee, and it's going to be basically like an amateur wrestling match. But then 911 comes out, attacks the referee, says, I'm the referee. and it's just basically a ECW match, and it's Sabu and Cactus Jack. I thought it was funny. Joey Styles, the commentator throughout the match, was kind of trying to keep fake points, I guess, and they were both in the negative, like -10 or something. So I thought that was pretty entertaining. Joey Styles, just on the side note, I thought it did a fantastic job here. I mean, it's hard to cover a pay-per-view by yourself, and I thought.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was the one-man show.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the match goes, I know you texted me before before we did the show that you thought it was going to be bloody, like a bloody match, and I thought it was going to be too. It wasn't all that. It wasn't really bloody at all. And Sabu wins with the cross body, but I thought it was a pretty entertaining match and a decent way to end the show.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a little short because it felt like it kind of ended quick. But yeah, I agree. I thought it was going to be a bloody match just because, Cactus Jack, this is the height of his hardcore dominance. He had been in Japan blowing himself up with Terry Funk. He had been all over the world, and this is kind of the ECW version of him trying to bring his deathmatch style to ECW. I mean, he even did that spot where he lost his ear, where he got himself tied up in the ropes by his neck, which,
Yep.
Well, every time I watch it, I still cringe because if everyone hasn't read Have a Nice Day by Mick Foley, if you read it, it'll change your world on how you view him, especially in some of those spots, because those ropes are super tight. But yeah, I thought it was going to be bloody and violent. I mean, it was violent, but it didn't have a lot of color, which was good. They both did a really good job working. I was really surprised by the agility, just because, I mean, more of my memory of them now is, unfortunately, them older, be able to walk, but they were both flying around the ring, taking spots, jumping over the ring. They were doing a lot of different things that I didn't really see them do before. So it was really cool to see this match. It was a very fun match.
Absolutely. I was overall, I was pretty impressed with this show. I'm probably going to give it maybe a 7 out of 10. I really like the tag team match between the Eliminators and the Pitbulls. That would probably be the one that I recommend to watch. If you had to pick one to watch for the show. But I thought it was solid. And like I said, I can't stress enough how the crowd made the show. I mean, the crowd was just so into it. And that was like my biggest takeaway from watching it, is just how passionate the crowd was.
Oh, I would agree with you. And I go back to your point with Joey Styles. His commentating helped save some of those matches. And
oh, yeah.
It really helped drive home. And he was so great at telling the stories of each match, and trying to remind you of what's going on, which was nice, going in blind, not knowing that much about the story. It was nice to have a commentator, and he's such a great commentator. And his typical, oh my God, that he does once in a while. Like you said, the crowd was just hot the entire night. I don't think they were dead. Even during the squash matches, they were so hot. The chants, the hilarious chants they had going. I mean, again, like we can't even repeat half the stuff they were saying on the show, but they were electric the whole night. It's the best way to describe it. It makes me miss crowds right now. It really does, because that's what makes wrestling, I think, some of the crowds.
Absolutely. So we have a little bit of time left here, so we'll kind of give you a preview of next week's show. We're going to continue on with the ECW theme and go to House Party 1996. This is just a couple days or a couple weeks after this show, so it's kind of a continuation of this storyline. So looking forward to that. Just to give you the card, some of the matches we're going to go through. We have 911 and Rey Mysterio against the Eliminators. That should be a really good match. This is early Rey Mysterio here. So looking forward to that one. You have Rob Van Dam and Axel Rodden. We have the continuation of the Too Cold Scorpio, Mikey Whipwreck's, storyline. We have Taz, Hack Myers. The Dudleys are on. Let's see. We have the Sandman and Conan, Sabu and Stevie Richards with the Blue Meanie. Hopefully
not as much.
And then a rematch of Public Enemy and the Gangstas. That's the main event. So that one I'm actually really looking forward to. I think that's going to be probably another bloody mess. But really looking forward to breaking down House Party 1996 next week.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I didn't know Rey Mysterio did ECW run, so I'm actually kind of interested to see Rey Mysterio fight off against the Eliminators too. I think that's going to be interesting because it's going to be two different styles. I mean, the Eliminators are more of a mat wrestling team, like an FTR, like a like the Four Horsemen, like very technical wrestlers, and Rey Mysterio is more of a high flyer cruiserweight. So that'll be interesting to see. And I don't know much about 911, 911, whatever his gimmick name is. And then I do know a lot about Axl Rotten. Unfortunately, people say I look like Axl Rotten, so I kind of take offense to that. But RVD is always my favorite, so I'm excited to see RVD. So I think that show should be good. It'll be nice to kind of know the storylines going in, so I think that'll help a lot.
Yeah.
I also want to point out, I think it's funny that they call him Paul E. Dangerously for Paul Heyman. That's always one of my favorite little names he has.
So that is coming up for you guys next week. We also want to give you a note on our on Roland. He's doing a lot better. He's still in recovery, but hopefully he'll be back on this show real soon. So we send our best wishes and a continued recovery to Roland.
Absolutely, buddy. We missed you. We can't wait to break down some wrestling with you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Again, we hope you all had a fantastic holiday. Have a great New Year's as well. We'll be back next Saturday at 5 with ECW House Party 1996. Until then, I'm Tim Kurt.
And I'm Mongo.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.
I hope you're all having a nice day.